On the headlines this morning, Governor Obiano praises sustained peace in Umueri and Aguleri communities. Enugu monarch Igwe Ekpe calls for teaching of history to youths to sustain Igbo culture. Nigerian army conducts airstrikes on armed bandit camps in Zamfara state. On the foreign scene, Russian President Putin says he is ready to open dialogue with U.S. Good morning and welcome to the news. My name is Nonye Nwokoye. Governor Willie Obiano has expressed satisfaction over the current peace deal between Umueri and Aguleri communities. Governor Obiano, who stated this shortly after receiving the Obune Chendo title by the traditional ruler of Umueri during his second Ofala festival, Igwe Beneth Emeka, emphasized that Aguleri and Umueri are one. Government House correspondent Ejike Abana reports that the event took place at the traditional ruler's palace, Umueri, in Anambra East Council area. His report is taken from here.
Governor Obiano, while pointing out the benefits of peace in any community, appreciated the title and said his efforts towards entrenching good governance in various communities across the state, especially Umueri, is total. The governor further urged the youth of the state to take advantage of the programs for youths in the 2019 appropriation law by forming cooperatives in order to achieve more in the coming year.
The youths, are you a program for yourselves in the budget the House just approved for me?
The celebrant, Igwe Emeka, expressed gratitude to the governor for his commitment to good governance in the community by providing adequate security, roads and other infrastructure, and stressed that the present leadership of Umueri has succeeded in charting a clear-cut roadmap for developing the community. Continuing, Igwe Emeka said that the security situation in Umueri has greatly improved, expressing his commitment to peace with all the community's neighbors.
Four indigent persons from the four main villages of Aba community have received scholarships to study at the university level from Igwe Leonard Nwankoro Eze Education Endowment Foundation. Correspondent Ogochukwu Okeke reports that Igwe Nwankoro Eze initiated the scheme to fulfill the promise he made last year during his 40 years coronation anniversary and 75 years birthday celebration as a way to help in the destitute in the community who are willing to go to school but cannot afford because of insufficiency of funds. Her report.
The lucky people that benefited from the Igwe Leonard Nwankwo Education Endowment Foundation Scholarship Award to higher institution were Peter Nwankwo from Okuloji Village, Aba, Chimuanya Okaforcha from Amobo Village, Miss Chinenye Nwoye from Ire Village, and Esther Nwoye from Ezeaba. Speaking, the traditional ruler of Aba in Njikoka Council area, Igweze, disclosed that 26 persons initially applied for the scholarship, noting that this year's edition marks the first of its kind and promised its sustainability.
Those that their parents are poor, that cannot pay the school fees easily, they are the beneficiaries. And when I'm making my speech before, I said that I make a promise about 41 years ago when I was recognized that I'm not asking this committee what they will do for me, but what I will do for them. And what I will do for them, the best thing is for me to pay their school fees, to give a scholarship, which I know they will not forget very easy. So, just to mark that my 40th birthday on the throne, we said that it will not end up in whining and drinking, that it must have a remarkable thing. And that remarkable thing is this scholarship. Thank you.
In his welcome address, the chairman board of trustees of the foundation, Mr. Obinna Chukwuma, said a 7-man board of trustees was set up to ensure transparency in the selection of the beneficiaries and thanked God for giving them such a person who has set the foundation to maintain unity amongst members of the 4 villages of the community, advising the beneficiaries to work hard to ensure that they complete and graduate within record time. The President General of Abatown Union, Engineer Chukwujeku Anekwe, applauded the donor for setting up such initiative to keep hope alive, which he said should be done annually, as according to him, education is the bedrock of any society.
Next year, it take one money no. Next it take one money no. Over 4 years, the man in Fagano, na university, money 16, money in Lini C. Hogana control work. And the oil for my cover. Naka well. Cabwan if I work on Pania and Ebidokia.
Thanking the traditional ruler on behalf of our co-beneficiaries, Ms. Esther Nwoye, while expressing gratitude for the gesture and praying God to bless and replenish the Igwe, promised not to disappoint him and the entire community.
Again, I will thank His Royal Highness for giving us this opportunity and for having the mind to build this educational foundation to be able to help the young boys and girls of this community to go to school and study their dream course and to make our community a better place.
The event, which was attended by Aba indigenes and government officials, including Mr. Elijah Onyangba, Chief Julius Ifamasi, Mr. Adilo Patrick, Mr. Obinna Nene, Mr. Chukura Iloka, Sir Benson Abalogu, Mr. Oste Zenwa, among others, advised the awardees to concentrate on their studies and read extensively to make their community proud and be useful to themselves. The event featured the unveiling of Igwe LNSE Education Foundation scholarships and presentation of checks to the beneficiaries. From Aba in Njikoka Council area, Ogochukwu Okeke reporting for ABS News.
That was from the palace of the traditional ruler of Aba, Igwe Nwankwo Eze. In a similar development, the traditional ruler of Enugu, Igwe Raf Ekpe, has underscored the need to sensitize the younger generation on the importance of their history. Igwe Ekpe stated this when he led his cabinet on a visit to Obu Okpala Anakana Okabia Nri and Museum Enugu. A correspondent, Emmanuel Chibata, fired the report taken from our studios.
Obu Obalanakana homestead of the progenitor of Enugu is located in Urueko village and Mbume Onyileni, where he first birthed on his way from Anambra through Amanuke. History showed that he settled on the rocky area for some time, but due to its difficult terrain, rocks and uneven land surface, he had to relocate to Urueko village, where he established the Obu Obalanakana. This is why the former Ezi Elias Junction that leads to Nimo was renamed Ezi Obalanre. The historical visit was part of activities lined up to mark the Iguaro festival of Enugu and Omuore. Speaking at the site, Igwebe appreciated some illustrious indigenes of the town who have contributed immensely to the development and growth of the community, urging them to sustain the tempo. In his speech, the cultural minister of the town, Chief Jude Ekunife, said the design of the edifice is an elephant head, wooden gong, and some other artistic drawing to reflect and reproduce the town's historical beliefs. Chief Ekunife urged Ndibo across board to think and invest home, saying that it is part of the measures to develop their father's land.
Trying to reflect and reproduce, what we believe. Here is where we believe our forefather, our great forefather, the Okpala Anakana, sectored. So whatever designs you are seeing here, is an attempt, even though we cannot get it, in a perfect mode, but is an attempt to reproduce what existed in those days.
Also speaking, the President General of the community, Mr. Bone Ozonkwak, pointed out that after the construction of the magnificent Obu and museum, cultural artifacts will be kept there, where youths will be visiting as a tourist site to learn more about their culture and recreational activities.
It's one of the historical sites in Enugu, the Obu Obalanakana Okabia. Obalanakana or Okbalanre is the ancestral father of Enugu, the man who gave birth to Enugu. It's completed. Artifacts will be kept here. Cultural artifacts. Those things that our children, don't know about, we'll bring them and keep them here.
You say very big congratulations to the Enugu people for achieving this great feat. It was a celebration of great achievements, effective service delivery, and wise leadership by the people of Ndi Keliongu in Orumba North local government area as they marked the 10th coronation anniversary of their traditional ruler, Professor Chukwuemeka Ike. The epochal event held at Ilo Hockey Square of the town attracted influx of personalities, including government and non-government functionaries, traditional rulers, and clergy, among others. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Chibata, was there for the ABS.
The venue was filled to capacity as the 11 villages of the town, led by their Ezogo, age-grade groups, Nzuko Iyom and Umuada, paid homage to the traditional ruler. The cultural display by Ibiribe Group and Agaba Masquerade and flute performance were also in full renditions. In his royal message, Professor Ike, who is the 11th king on the throne of Ndi Keliongu and a renowned novelist, expressed gratitude to God for the privilege to serve his people and pledged to bring more succor to the less privileged and reinvigorate peace and unity in the community. The President General of the community, Mr. Okechukwu Okereke, said that the emergence of the traditional ruler has brought unprecedented development and peace coexistence among their people. The former permanent secretary, Ministry of Local Government, Mr. Nwabuonu Ogbaji, the Vice President General of the town, Mr. Humphrey Onwara, and an indigene, Mr. Shiri Wafo, underlined the humility and commitment of the traditional ruler in making genuine efforts towards the development of the community. The event was capped with prayer session by the Anglican Bishop of Agwata, Bishop Samuel Ezofo, represented by Reverend Canon Wisdom Otaloka. From Ndi Keliongu in Orumba North Local Government Area, Emmanuel Shibata, ABS News.
If you've just joined us, this is ABS Television News. At this point, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, our focus will be on airstrike in Zamfara State. And more stories, please don't go anywhere.
Season's greetings in the Anambra. I wish us all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Chief Willie Obiano Abokwodike, Governor of Anambra State.
You're welcome back to the rest of the news. The Nigerian Air Force has said the Air Task Force ATF of Operation Dira Mikiya successfully neutralized an armed bandit hideout at a compound west of Samari in Beni Magaji local government area of Zamfara State. NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. He explained that the attack was conducted at dawn on 28 December following intelligence reports indicating that the compound was being used by the armed bandits as a camp from where they launch attacks on innocent civilians. Accordingly, the ATF detailed the Nigerian Air Force NAV Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance ISR aircraft, which confirmed the presence of bandits armed with high-caliber weapons at the location. Daramola said surface troops later invaded the compound and recovered some motorcycles abandoned by the fleeing criminals. He said the ATF is working in concert with surface forces and other security agencies will continue to conduct reconnaissance and air interdictions missions with a view to restoring normalcy to the affected states in the northeast. Now, business news. The federal government-owned refineries lost 96.34 billion naira in the first 9 months of this year, compared to a loss of 95.09 billion naira recorded in the whole of 2017. The refineries, which are located in Port Harcourt, Kaduna and Warri, have a combined installed capacity of 445,000 barrels per day, but have continued to operate far below the installed capacity for many years. A total of 13.58 billion naira was lost in January, 8.05 billion naira in February, 11.88 billion naira in March, 20.08 billion in May, 14.51 billion naira in June, 10.45 billion in July, 10.79 billion in August, and 6.97 billion in September. According to latest data from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the refineries made a profit of 928.81 million naira in April for the first time in 10 months. The three refineries, for the first time since the beginning of this year, were unable to process a barrel of crude oil in September. It was also observed that the consolidated plant consumption of crude oil for the refineries crashed from the 12.22% recorded in August to 0% in September this year. Their consolidated capacity utilization dropped from 10.089% recorded in January to 0% in September. And from the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a letter to his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump, has said Moscow was ready to dialogue on a wide-ranging agenda, the Kremlin has said. Kremlin statement said that Vladimir Putin stressed that Russia-United States relations are the most important factor for providing strategic stability and international security. At the end of November, Trump abruptly canceled a planned meeting with Putin on the sideline of a G20 summit in Argentina, citing tensions about Russian forces opening fire on Ukrainian Navy boats and then seizing them. The letter comes days after Trump said he was pulling all 2,000 U.S. troops from Kurdish-held northeastern Syria, declaring that Washington had achieved its objective with the defeat of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL, also known as ISIS, in the region. Moscow intervened on the side of Syria's government in 2015, a few years after the conflict began. In a separate letter to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Putin pledged continuation of aid to Syrian government and people in the fight against terrorism in defense of state sovereignty and territorial integrity. He also sent New Year greetings to other world leaders, including Prime Ministers Theresa May of Britain and Shinzo Abe of Japan, as well as Chinese President Xi Jinping. And our sports news. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may only be in charge of Manchester United for the remainder of this season, but the interim manager wants to see Anthony Martial and David De Gea sign a long-term contract at the Old Trafford. United have activated one-year extensions for both players in recent weeks, meaning they are tied to the club until the end of next season. But forward Martial and goalkeeper De Gea remained locked in talks with Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward over longer deals, with no sign of an end to the impasse imminent. Solskjaer, who himself is only under contract with the Premier League club until the summer, may have limited stay in United's long-term strategy, but a popular former United forward who has made an early case for the job on a permanent basis with comprehensive victories over Cardiff and Huddersfield in his first 2 games in charge, clearly hopes to leave his mark at the Old Trafford by helping secure the services of 2 key players. Solskjaer, whose appointment as interim manager in place of the sacked Jose Mourinho has proved hugely popular with the club's fans, spent 11 years as a player with United until injury ended his career in 2007. Now remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging on to our website www.absradiotv.com. Like us at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. The main point of the news once again. Governor Obiano has praised sustained peace in Umueri and Aguleri communities. Enugu monarch Igwe Ekpe has called for teaching of history to youths to sustain Igbo culture. Nigerian army conducts airstrikes on armed bandits camp in Zamfara state. And from the foreign scene, Russian President Putin has said he is ready to open dialogue with the U.S. And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nonya Mokoye. Good morning, Anambra continues.